Welcome back to Antique Machine. Here, we dive deep into the timeless beauty of craftsmanship, where power meets precision and nature meets human skill. Today, we're witnessing something truly extraordinary, the felling of a giant that has stood for over 5 centuries, a 500-year-old Douglas fir tree. Think about that for a second. This tree sprouted long before our modern world existed. It has survived storms, fires, and countless winters, and now, under the hands of an experienced logger, it's about to rest. In this video, we'll explore not only the technique behind bringing down such a massive tree, but also the respect, patience, and understanding required to do it safely. Let's step into the forest, where every sound, every cut, tells a story of skill and reverence. The air is still. Before the first cut is made, the logger walks around the giant fir, studying its shape, the lean, the ground beneath. Experience tells him what textbooks can't, how the tree will fall, how the fibers will react. He places his saw against the bark. The first bite of the chain is gentle, measured. Douglas fir has dense, resilient wood, every inch filled with centuries of growth. It takes a steady hand and an ear trained to listen to the pitch of the saw, the echo from within the trunk. A wedge-shaped notch is carved out, called the face cut. It controls the direction of the fall. Too deep, and the tree might split. Too shallow, and it could twist unpredictably. Old loggers call it speaking to the tree. You ask it to fall where you want, and if you do it right, it listens.
That's my bunt. The black line is the gunning sight from this side of the tree. You got to factor in parallax error because we're aiming at one point in the middle out there, but we're not aiming from the middle of the tree, we're aiming from one side of the tree. So you get this parallax effect when you aim from both sides. So the further out you can make your gun sight, the better. And we couldn't go very far, which is why we broke out and did the string trick on it. This line is 90 degrees to the bottom of the bar. Aim small, miss small. So I'm shooting for the gap, and I'm hoping to protect this little dog hair trees along here, but
Next comes the back cut, the most critical step. The saw moves from the opposite side, slightly above the hinge line of the face cut. This hinge, a thin line of uncut wood, is what controls the tree's descent. Even with all the experience in the world, it's a moment of tension. You can feel it. The hum of the saw, the vibration through the handle, the quiet focus in the logger's eyes. Suddenly, the sound changes. The fibers begin to crack. The giant shifts, slow at first, then faster. Centuries of life now surrendering to gravity. A thunderous crash echoes through the forest. And then, silence. When the dust settles, the scale of the tree becomes clear. The rings inside tell a story older than America itself. Each layer a memory of rain, drought, sun, and wind. The scent of sap fills the air, fresh and earthy. The logger shuts off his saw and takes a quiet moment. For professionals like him, this isn't about destruction. It's about harvesting responsibly. Every tree taken is counted, and new ones are planted. This is the cycle of forestry, nature and human working together, not against each other. He begins the bucking process, cutting the trunk into sections. Each piece will later be milled into beams, planks, or boards, perhaps to frame a home, a bridge, or a ship. A tree that began life in the 1500s will soon find new purpose in our modern world. Next, we'll move deeper into the wilderness, where another challenge awaits: a massive pine tree standing tall among the ridges. Here, modern skill meets raw nature in its wildest form.
This is a high-use lake for fishing and water skiing and such activities.
Deep in the mountains, the terrain changes everything. There's no clear ground, no open space to let a tree fall freely. The slope, the wind, the rocks, every detail matters. Our logger sets out early, carrying not just his chainsaw, but years of wisdom. Before any cut, he studies the lean, checks for rot, watches how the tree sways in the wind. It's a living calculation, part science, part instinct. He starts with a face cut, just like before, but this time the angle is sharper to guide the pine down a narrow gap between other trees. Then comes the jack system, steel wedges and hydraulic power that help control direction and pressure. In this rugged forest, gravity can't be trusted alone. The jack becomes an extension of the logger's strength, a silent partner in the fight against nature's weight. Each movement is deliberate. He stops often, listening. The forest responds, creaks, echoes, a faint shift in the canopy above. This is where true experience shows, knowing when to cut, when to pause, when to trust your gut. What looks effortless is, in truth, decades of practice. precision, respect, timing, all learned the hard way through countless days in the woods. But he works methodically, almost calmly. The chain glides through the wood, sending a spray of golden chips across the moss-covered ground. Each section is measured, marked, and cut clean, ready for milling. It's not just work, it's craft.
Here. Beat those other wedges in. On the other side. Alright, I'm going to tickle it a little bit.
As the sun begins to dip behind the ridges, the day's labor ends. There's a quiet satisfaction in the air, not pride, but gratitude. To those who work the woods, every fallen tree is both a responsibility and a memory. They know the forest will grow again, and their work, if done right, helps that renewal. As the sun begins to dip behind the ridges, the day's labor ends. There's a quiet satisfaction in the air, not pride, but gratitude. To those who work the woods, every fallen tree is both a responsibility and a memory. They know the forest will grow again, and their work, if done right, helps that renewal. From the outside, it might just look like cutting wood, but within each stroke, there's a lifetime of understanding. The balance between taking and giving, between man and nature, between the sound of the chainsaw and the silence that follows.